So nobody's told me to do this. The instructions don't say to do this. I've never seen this on the internet, and so it's obvious to me that it's going to work. Come on. Hey guys, welcome to Paintucation by Kevin Tetz. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and hitting the like button. And if you haven't, go ahead and hit it and hit the subscribe button because we got all kinds of great stuff coming towards you. And today we're going to work on this grill. This grill was originally the grill for my project C10 truck. We skinned it over as a 67 because I think the sheet metal is prettier, did some nice custom touches to it, and made it a 50,000 foot-pound race truck. Anyway, this grill came out of it, and I said 71, and you eagle eyes, you know that this is not a 71 grill. It was a patched together long wheelbase, just a sort of a junk truck, and I got it for next to nothing, and we used it for all kinds of product videos and stuff like that. And it had the wrong grill. This is a 6970 grill, and it was in terrible shape like the rest of the truck. If you look closer here, you can see things like these lenses. I think they'll probably crumble in my hands. And places like this grill, it's broken, separated there, it's just brittle. The headlight doors are completely gone. The anodized coating, it looks terrible. And it's in pretty okay shape. There's a dent there, but then we get here, uh-oh. That's a big uh-oh. So we've got a ginormous dent there, again, another lens. Right here, I've been messing around with taking the anodized coating off. There's an over-the-counter chemical that takes the anodized coating off. But bottom line, this needs to be restored. If you've checked out the price of a brand new one, you can get them, but they're a little bit spendy. So if you're inclined, like me, to do some stuff yourself and take on a project, I'm going to show you some things that are really going to help you with this. So the hardware, the basic hardware is in decent shape. The latch mechanism, safety catch, all the springs, it's all in good shape. Even the wiring on the marker lights, it's pretty good. These pieces are rusted on the outside, but they're not in bad shape. So this grill can be restored. Now the plastic is another issue. It's broken, but there's replacement parts. These all came from AMD. This is a complete grill. Goes in back behind. It's coated to look like the factory, the same colors. We've got new replacement headlight doors. And the lenses, actually, they're a little bit more improved because they've got a UV coating that'll keep that from happening. And they sent replacement screws with these as well. So we've got everything it takes to restore that grill and make it look brand new if we do the rest of it right, which involves getting rid of the rusty parts on the, getting rid of the rust on the parts on the backside, restoring the aluminum, and I'm going to do an interesting thing here. We've got options. Once we pick and file and make the aluminum repaired and straight again, we can either send it to somebody like Advanced Plating and get the anodized coating reinstalled on it. We could send it out to powder coating. They've got an anodized powder that kind of looks okay. Or we can polish the aluminum and not have to worry about that. So, yeah, we've got options. So in the meantime, the very first thing that I'm going to do is put some penetrating oil on all of these fasteners, all of the bolts that I have to take off, and we're going to let that sit a while and disassemble this stuff and get to work. Butter. otherwise known as an extension. What I really like is when the backside of the clip breaks in half, and then I got to get in there with an awkward pair of pliers, or take my bare hands, and as that clip is spinning, the rusty metal slices through my epidermis. That's what I really, really like. So I'm going to opt for the pliers. All right, so how awkward and goofy can we make a video shot? Look at that. All right. Keep on rolling, man. Keep on rolling. More stuff. This one. Another bolt fell out. I don't know where that came from. So, oh wait, there it goes. That is rusty, but I might have a really interesting solution for that, or at least part of it. I'm going to put that off to the side. I'm assuming that is a keeper thinger for the plastic, and that I should probably hang on to those, because they're probably one of those things that it's going to cost me $75 to buy. I might separately baggie them just to keep them separate in a baggie. Oh, look. You know, I'm all about nature and stuff, but there's one thing, if you know me, you know that spiders wig me out. And there's a big old sack of something right there beside that. And it might not be the bad kind of spider, but it's a freaking spider. I don't like them. I don't have to. This, I mean, it's toast. I'm gonna see how many pieces it breaks into when I drop it. All right, let's get one. And these we're gonna keep over here. But again, all these rusty fasteners, I've got something that might help them. All right, more taking off. Oh, come on. Different size. Good. Can't get to it. Awesome. So my diabolical plan was to remove them as an assembly, but it appears I have to get the lenses out from the other side first. Somebody out there in comment land has been down this road before. He goes, oh, you got to take the lenses out first. You're right. Maybe somebody just decided to put a different size in there just on the outside chance that somebody's going to be scrapping this thing or fixing it up later on. Well, now that one comes right out. Okay, so I'm glad I got new lenses. I'm just going to leave these right here for now. But not just going to put new lenses in, because in behind, it's just, I'm going to look inside there. It's all crusty and gray. Let's get a little more reflectivity. Let's just not just put lipstick on the hog. We'll go ahead and grease up the whole pig. What does that mean? I don't know. Sounds weird, Kevin. All right, so there's a bunch of clips on here. I'm not going to pull every single clip off. Some are going to fall off. But these guys here, I'm just going to leave them there. There's no need for me to lose them. There's no need for me to take them off. Now this is for the hood bumper. Just a 1/2-inch bolt. Sorry, nut on that. Threaded shaft right there, and a rubber bumper that goes on there. But these are bradded on. The 3 little steel rivets. I'm going to try and refurbish this without removing it, unless I can find my steel rivet kit. That might be a battle for another moment, but I'm going to take that hood adjuster off. So I do want to get all the anodized coating off of that as well. Oh, that is not doing that. So my hope is that I get a Phillips screwdriver in that rusty little port right there. See that? And I hope that I can strip that out, and then these are stuck. And then I have to get a vice grip on there. And that was sarcasm. Let's try this side. Now this side is doing what I wanted it to do, and it's just backing out. I believe all of these rubbers and adjusters are available on the AMD website for these trucks. You know, they stock a whole lot of C10 stuff. I'll just finish that by hand. There we go. It looks to me like it's dry, like I miss it with the penetrating oil. So I'm going to hit it again with some penetrating oil. I'm glad I went right to vice grip on this, because I absolutely would have stripped out the Phillips cross in this silly thing. I think next time I order shirts, I'm going to get like winter wool, super thick, just like this, so I can sweat and stink a lot. All right, so I'll just set that on the floor. This is as broken down as it's going to be. So now, I'm going to set it right there. So my strategy for fixing these dents is not to fix the dents first. It's to get the coating off of here first, get the anodized coating off, and then fix the dents. I've done this before on some trim pieces, and if I do my pick and file with the anodized coating on, if there's inconsistencies and little tiny valleys that I leave, sometimes it's hard to get that anodized coating out of them. So I'm going to fix the dents first, and No, I'm sorry. I'm going to strip the coating off first, and then we'll fix the dents, and all I have to worry about is pick and file. So, does that make sense? Okay, good. But first, I'm going to label these fasteners so I don't lose track of them. Safe, not lost. Good. All right, so now we get to play with chemistry. So I've done this before, stripped off anodized coating off of aluminum using Easy Off oven cleaner. And it worked. It was a long time ago. I'm trying to think of what year it was. I had my Fairlane Ranchero, 67 Ranchero, and I redid the headlight buckets, bezels, and stripped them off with Easy Off. It took several different attempts. And I think the active ingredient at the time in that oven cleaner was sodium hydroxide, and it's the same, it's lye, it's the same ingredient that is in Drano, and I believe, it doesn't say it on here, but I believe it's similar here. This is anodized removers from the Eastwood Company, and it involves chemistry and acid, and as you can see, I'm putting gloves on, and I have my glasses on, and I'm going to be being careful. I should probably clean this before I put this stuff on, but I'm not going to because I'm impatient and I want to try it. So I had a thought, and I decided to read the instructions, and actually camera guy maybe suggested that I wear a mask. So yeah, I read the instructions. If it mists and blah, 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 probably a good idea to wear a mask. I'm going to wear a mask. Always spray this stuff in a well-ventilated area. Safety, safety, safety. Yeah, I'm big on safety and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to mess up. So I'm going to wear a mask when I use this. But it says 2 to 6 minutes. But I'm going to try something, and I've got this plastic that I'm going to put over top of it. I'm going to do a section. Well, no, I'm going to do a big section, and then put this plastic over top of it. This works really well with paint stripper, and it keeps everything cooking underneath it. So nobody's told me to do this. The instructions don't say to do this. I've never seen this on the internet. And so it's obvious to me that it's going to work. Come on. We're going to apply it, and then we're going to set the timer for a few minutes. And I'm going to do this. Of course, the mask is set for Andre the Giant.
Who had this on their head? Spray, delay, and walk away. I've just decided to do the whole grill all at once, except for this part, which I've already done. Oh, look here. Something happening. Look at that. So I was going to go get a scuffing pad and help it along, but I don't think I need to.
When I'm using the abrasive pad right here, now you can see that acid, or whatever, no, it's the lye in it, it's doing work. It's working really, really well. Okay, cool. And it doesn't smell like an acid. It kind of smells like rhinoceros butt. What's a harsh smell to the DB? Just wanted to do my Mrs. Doubtfire accent. Somebody out there in YouTube land is probably yelling at their phone or their computer going, leave it alone, let it do its work. But I've had 4 cups of coffee and I can't. So I will tell you that this is working a ton faster than the oven cleaner. Even the parts that I didn't pre-clean, where I'm just massaging WD-40 into the finish, those parts are coming off pretty good too. All right, so what I'm going to do now, it's starting to dry a little bit on the surface. I'm going to get some towels and just kind of take stock. I'm going to look and see what we've done. All right. This anodized remover works really well if you've got AN fittings that you don't like the color of, like the old school ones where they're like a pinkish red. You can put it on a wire or zip tie and dip it down into this stuff, and it works extremely fast and very well on AN fittings. So right here, this is raw aluminum, that's not. We can see where it's still a little bit, you can see the layers in there. It says not to leave it on any longer than 20 minutes, so that's why I'm kind of being efficient with my first wipe down. So I'm going to wipe this off. So this is just tap water on my scuffing pad. Just what the water does is neutralize the effect of the product, and it allows me to kind of see through and see if we've got all that anodized coating off there. And we do. It kind of whitens up the aluminum too. And if it's consistent, then it looks like I've got all the coating off of it. And where it's inconsistent, I know I've got to apply a little bit more of the remover. But I can even feel the tension, the surface tension on the surface down here. And my eyeballs are telling me that it's very even looking, so that we are probably stripped right down to raw aluminum. All right, so I've wiped it down with water. I'm giving it one more water wipe down, and then I'm going to do one more cleaning step. I'm going to hit it with the glass cleaner. I just want to make sure that all of that remover is removed. Sounded redundant. We've cleaned the heck out of this thing. I think all of that stuff is gone. Super nice, super clean. Bob's your uncle. Pure white aluminum. The function of an anodized coating on raw aluminum is to protect it from oxidizing. Aluminum oxidizes, chalks up, i.e. rusts, very quickly. So if these vehicle manufacturers were to put these parts on in just aluminum, it would look really terrible pretty soon, and it would be all inconsistent because of the alloy. So the anodized coating gives it a consistent and protective hard film, and that's the function of it. So why am I taking it off? Well, I've got two options. I can go to a chrome shop and have it re-anodized if I want to go full Monty, yeah, I said it, resto. But if I polish this stuff, it looks really good. And I learned some stuff from the guys at Swift Aircraft in Knoxville, Tennessee. Way back when Jesus was a small boy, when I did the show called Classic Rides on DIY Network. And we polished an Airstream. And the guys at Swift Aircraft, they would have vintage warplanes, warbirds, P-51s. And they would polish the fuselage. And what those guys told me, and it really stuck with me, is that the more you polish aluminum, the less you need to polish aluminum. And the reason is because of the way the platelets will lay down. They kind of fold on themselves. And when you polish them, they sort of mash together and form a hard layer on top of it. And I found this to be true with my Fairlane parts. And I polished them a few times, got them up to a mirror gloss, and I hardly ever had to do it again. I did the headlight bezels and the taillight bezels, and boy, it was a nice finish. So that's what we're going to do here. So we got a super clean grill. I'm just going to satisfy my own curiosity and probably yours too, and I'm going to polish a section just to kind of prove concept here. So I want to polish an area right here because I'm like way impatient and I want to see what it looks like. And that's pretty clean right there. It's all scratched up and stuff like that. So anyway, I've got this polish that I've never tried before with an electric polisher that I have tried before. So this ought to be perfect. And since I'm not wearing an apron, I'm going to splatter it all over my black shirt. So like that. Actually, this is kind of making me happy. So that came up to a pretty nice luster pretty quickly. And we can see the scratches in the nicks, and we're going to have to sand all of that. Is this a lot of work? Yes, this is an enormous amount of work. Yeah, it might be worth it. And if you want to restore your own piece, maybe this is a way to go about it. So that's just one step of polishing. Pretty dang good. If I go up through a series of sandpapers, maybe starting with 320 to get the gouges out, and then kind of come up to 600 to 1,000, something like that, or maybe even finer. It'll come up like butter. But for now, we've got a bunch of dents like this right there. From this point, with the anodized coating off of this grill, the little tiny imperfections and dents need to be fixed, and then we go through the process of, basically it's sanding and polishing. Not that dissimilar from polishing paint, but we got to bodywork it a little bit first. Particularly, I've got a ginormous dent right here. And there's a couple of other little dents, like this guy right here. There's just other bent places on it. It's not bad. That's bad, but it's not really horrible. There's little places, just age, man. So the way we do this is the way we do all body work. It's a process of refinement. We straighten out the rough shape. It's called a rough out. And then you start doing finessing steps. I've got some tools here. I have no idea what I'm going to need. I have no idea, but I know I'm going to need some body tools. So I've got a chisel, I've got different hammers. Here's a maul, here's a big giant chisel, here's a smaller chisel, dolly, other dolly, some ply. I don't know what I'm going to need. All I know is that I need to get this metal back into shape. The interesting thing about aluminum is that unlike steel, it doesn't have a cell memory position. It doesn't hold tension and want to spring back into shape like a dented steel panel. I've learned this creating my collision repair courses for trade schools and high school shop programs. So aluminum is kind of the Wild West as to how it's going to react after we fix it. Anyway, nerd point, totally. But we're going to try and get this into shape right here first. So I don't want to just bash on something. There's two techniques with hammers and dollies and bodywork. It's hammer on dolly, hammer off dolly. We're going to do a mixture of something like that, and I'm actually going to use this piece of wood right here to brace this and kind of tap against it and try and use the wood as a backer. It's soft, so it's not going to peen or mar the top surface. It won't do much damage, and it gives me a way to bash against this and straighten this out without being on concrete and just suspended. So that's kind of job one, is I'm going to try and just go back and forth and straighten this out, and we'll see where that gets us. This is ridiculous right here, so I'm going to move all of this out. All right, so this is solid enough. This little wiener hammer is not going to cut it, so I've got to get a bigger, blunt, dumb instrument. Hang on. All right, so this is a mid-size BFH with a little more attitude. I'm still going to use this tool. The reason I want to use this tool is because of that. See how rounded over that is? It's going to go into this kind of rounded over internal shape here, and we're just going to try and gently ask it to go back into shape. It's helping. Still helping. Not perfect though. And I can still see that it's bent. Once I can't really tell that it's cupped in anymore, I'll use a straight edge to look at it, but we still got some bashing to do here. I want to get down into that valley. All right, we're getting closer. It's still cupped in there. Look how easy that moves. Boy, that's... Okay, that's going to come around easy. All right, more work to do right there. That's not the right shape. That's the right shape. That fits in that. We hit it with that. Don't hit your thumb, Kevin. This is the shape I want to match because this matches that and this is still pushed in just a little bit. So I'm going to keep on working that valley, which is a peak on this side. It's a valley on this side. Funny how that works. We're getting closer, and I want to show you what I'm talking about. When I'm looking down here, this shape here is what I'm trying to mimic. This is the bar that I'm trying to repair, and I got to sight it. And when I look along, it's getting close, right in here. Can you see that? I can see that. It's still low, but it's coming around fast, and I guess that's just because it's single wall and aluminum. So I'm just going to keep working it. That's a little dentish right there, so I'm going to hit that spot. I can see it. All right, we're getting really close. It's distorted here, but that's okay. This needs to come up at this bottom. And I think that needs to go back just a little bit. A little bit of attention here. So interesting, man. So different than steel. All right, so I'm going to use my straight edge and just kind of, that's pretty flat. It's got a bit of a crown to it. And then I take and put this over here, and it's got a bit of a crown to it. That flattens out a little bit there. So that tells me my rough shape is getting closer. I can still see some dents here. Obviously it's up right there a little bit. So I'm going to tap on the top of there. It's actually backed by the giant chisel, which acts like a dolly. So this is hammer-on dolly technique right here. Now right inside here, I need to see a little bit more. There's dirt, and I can't tell what the shape is. So I've got some 120 on just a piece of a stick. What I'm going to do is just sand it lightly. I'm not sanding into the valleys, I'm just sanding across the top. And you can see what that does. You can see there's a high spot, a low spot, a high spot, a low spot, a high spot, a low spot. So I'm going to do this area here too. And this is where the dirt actually helps me. We got a different version of this coming up soon, but this is showing me, and I'm not taking much material off, but it's showing me where the spots are that I need to move. So I need to take my little hammer here, tap that, move it outward because it's a dent. This is now it's a high spot on the inside, which means it's a dent on the other side. I can see that it's moved a little bit. I don't want to go nuts and just totally paint it out on the other side. I'm trying to ask it nicely to move, please. Move, please. And there's another high spot there. Now we'll check it again. So the spots have changed. They've gotten wider, which means that they're not as pronounced, which means that they're flatter. But they're still up. So we're going to tap more. Check it again. All right, so that's not horrible. I can improve on that, but we're going to go to the other side. We're going to do the same type of thing. All right, so we can see our tap marks here. We can see that the shape is coming around, but we need it better. We're going to go the same 120, which is really harsh, man. But we have to look at the surface. So these spots are high. That's where we tapped. But look how those little dimples disappeared. There's enough aluminum there to where we can actually body work this stuff. So we're going to keep on tap, tap, tapping. You can see that's high right there. I don't want to sand the damage out. I'm using sanding to show me where the damage is, and we're going to use blunt force trauma to realign it. And this is a way that you can do that. And I could do this with the anodized coating on. I could have just went straight to fixing dents. But what I've found in the past is when I do this with the anodized coating on, sometimes it gets stuck down in the tiny little valleys, and it makes it where you got to do a little bit more work to get the anodized coating off, and it looks weird when you polish it. So yeah, rinse and repeat. But there is another tool here that we're going to use. It's going to give us a better visual on where the low and high spots are. So you guys that have ever been in a machine shop, you know what this stuff is. This is Dicom. It's a brand name, but what this is a sprayable layout fluid. And it's a guide coat. Just like when you're bodyworking, the powdered guide coat over top of the filler, we'll go through all of that when we get to a bodywork project. But the Dicom, we spray it on, it dries super quick, it's super thin, and it gives us that contrast. It's a surface analysis tool. And the layout dyes, if you're scribing lines for cutouts and things like that, that's what it's used for primarily. I know a lot of high-end machinists, engine builders that use it when they're doing port work or things like that. So it's a really handy tool to have around.
It's cool looking too. It's a big purple color. All right, that's about all we need.
Have to wait for it to dry. It's not. All right. Time for a cold beverage. Sharper, blunt. That really shows me what's happening there. I don't want to get rid of all the layout dye. I just want to look. So now, obviously, those are high spots. So I'm going to get a bit of a backer. I'm going to use this heel dolly, which will actually kind of sit down in there. And even if it doesn't absolutely support that metal, it's at least supporting the metal around it. A little high right there. Bash the heck out of it right there. All right, so come back on the back side. And kind of in here, I need a little extra help because I'm losing my perspective on where my highs and lows are. So I'm going to use some more layout dye back here because I'm starting to fine tune it now. Put a mask on, and I'm going to spray it down there, and we're just going to keep going, back and forth.
And we wait.
All right, layout dye is dry. I'm just going to skate across the top, and that shows me the high spots. Ear pluggage. Here we go. Starting to get flatter, but I've still got some pretty pronounced highs and lows. So I'm going to sneak up on it. I can sneak up on the edges. I'm not happy with this hammer. I need a pick hammer, and I don't have one here. But this is okay. I can use the tip. I can use the ends for a pick, but it just doesn't allow me to place the blows precisely. But we're going to work on that. This is the same technique that I use on stainless steel trim as well, but it's a lot harder to move around. All right, there we go. Now it's talking to me. There's some high spots. All right, so you see what's happening here? Get a little closer. My high spots are getting larger or wider, which means that they're getting flatter. The super pronounced peaks like that, that's more of a contrast. But when it starts to flatten out, the areas get a little bit larger. It's kind of like a good feather with paint or primer. So this is telling me that I'm getting closer here, but I've still got a lot of work to do. It's a process. So moving forward, I am going to change from 180, which is wore out, but I'm going to switch to 320 because I don't need to be that aggressive anymore. And I want to be aware that my aluminum gets thinner every time I sand it, and I don't want to go through because that would be a thing that would make me really sad. Also, by the way, wanted to mention, got a heat gun. It really helps to force dry the layout die, and instead of waiting for it, we can just zap it and it'll be good. So again, more of the same. I'm going to sand this a little bit, see where we're at. All right, so we can see again low spots all over the place. So my little pick hammer is not doing me any favors. I brought a different hammer over. It's more of a rounded end. We're going to start using this guy as well as this guy. This is a stainless hammer. It's got a way rounded end and a smaller flat area. And so I'm just going to keep on going. I'm going to work this area up here, right? We can see lots of lows. So on the back side of it, let's see, right here, it's in here. So where's my thing? So the lows on the front side are going to be highs on this side. So I know that I need to focus in here and work that. So I'm okay with this. There's still some pits in there, but I'm gonna count on the aluminum being thick enough to work those out. I don't think they're very deep. So I've got 320 on an angle grinder here. I'm just gonna try and smooth this out. I'm gonna get this section here. This is gonna be rinse and repeat more of the same, but I'm gonna get this section from here to here-ish, ready to dress down and polish. So here we go. So the 320 on the angle grinder, well, it's loaded up, but it looks like it did its job, and I don't see any pits, and I don't see any waves. So we're going to continue the refining process. From here on, we're going to sand with finer grits and get ready to polish. I'm going to wet sand a little bit. We're going to go 400, 600, 800, and 1,000, then we're going to try and polish it. So yeah, I know, 800, this is dry paper, whatever, sue me. I don't have any 800 wet paper right here. And also, I have 9011 squirt bottles for my polishing systems all over the place, different shops, except here. So I'm going to use a water-based lubricant, and it is literally a glass cleaner, and we're just going to do that. So this has to be fairly thorough. We're going up subsequent grits. We went 320, we're going 400. You never want to jump too far across a series of grits. The 300, the number is referred to the amount of particles per square inch of surface area. And so if you go too far apart, you can miss scratches. So we're going 400. And what I'm going to try and do is get all the previous grit scratches out of the surface before I move on to the next grit. At some point, I'm going to run out of aluminum, and I don't want that to be today. All right, it's pretty good. I don't see any circular marks except for right here. I don't know if you can see those, but you can see it's like a crosshatch in a cylinder bore. We're not going to stop just yet. So I'm going to do a little bit more on this inside edge. All right, I'm going to call that done. I see Uncle Bob. We're going to go now to 600, which is right here. This is on a soft faced block. So I'm going to call that, well, get rid of that. I'm going to call that once over. We're going to go probably 4 times with each grit. So this is twice. Three. And one more. I can already feel the surface tension changing, which means my sandpaper is wearing out. This is designed for paint, not aluminum, so it'll last a while, but if you're doing this process, get ready to burn through a lot of sandpaper. Now we're going to move up to 800, which is this, and again, like I said, it's dry paper. It'll last a while till the grit separates from the backing, so you can get by with it. It's not the best practice. It's not really the best utilization of the materials, but it follows my recipe of no more than 200 grit per jump in sandpaper. 1. You can already see the luster change, right? I'll stop after this next session because it's kind of remarkable from this point in. 800 is not an ultrafine. You can still do paint prep with 800, but it's getting pretty fine grit. There's 2. We're going to go 2 more. 3. We'll do 1 more just because I said so. And there's 4. I've had 4 cups of coffee this morning. It's kind of a rush. So there's 4. 800. Now we're going to go with 1,000. You know how I can tell? Because it says 1,000. Again, we're going to go 4 times. Interesting, look how the aluminum sludges up and turns gray. There's 1. 2. 3. And we're going to call that 4 because it was 4. I'm pretty good with math most days. All right, so now we'll let that dry. It already looks pretty good, although it's inconsistent, right? It's not shiny, it's not flat, it's not sanded, it's not even brushed, but it is pretty stinking smooth. All right, so now we're going to come back in here with some aluminum polish in the formal sense. But I got to clean this crap up because I'm diving knee first into stuff like that. And that's a recipe for bad language. I'm pretty happy with this section in here. I've got a spot right there I don't like, but I know how to fix that because I fixed that. Anyway, so we're going to polish this up. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to use to polish it is this set. I got this on the internet. Here's super coarse. Here's red rouge for cutting scratches, and here's polishing rouge for fine. I've got these 3 compounds, as well as I've got this metal polish that I've used to polish my trailer fenders and stuff like that, and it works pretty dang good. So we're going to finish off with this, but I'm going to do the compound thing. You know, I've got the big wheel, the 3/4 horse wheel with 2 different buffs on it, and that works extremely well. And if I had that set up here, we'd be going up against that, and it would be awesome. But we don't. Just because there might be some dust, I'm going to put a little bit of a mask on, and I'm using this Griot's polisher. It's a 3-inch. It's not orbital like my paint polishing stuff. It is it's a directional polisher, and we've got, it's a soft, but it's a cutting pad here. So I don't know if this is going to work. I have no idea, and we're going to try. And if I fail, I'm pretty certain that you will let me know about it. The other thing that I know is that there's somebody out there watching this right now that's going, "No, you dummy. You need to be doing X instead of what you're doing, you moron. Stick with paint and stuff." All right, anyway, so we're going to try with the supercut. Pads change a little bit of color. That means it's taking on some material, and we're going to go. We're going to polish. Now, sooner or later, your pad's going to load up with the substrate that you're polishing, in our case, aluminum. So I'm just going to clean the pad just a little bit. This is the worst thing to clean a foam buffing pad with, but hey, I'm going to do it anyway. Unload that, load the pad again. It's brown, and I'm actually going to use my wore-out microfiber. And it's coming around. You can't expect finished results with a coarse cutting compound, but you can expect some results, and we're getting them. That was brilliant. All right, I'm pretty okay with that. We're seeing distinct improvement. There's no bumps and lumps, but it's looking pretty okay. And that's the first stage of compound, so we're going now to the second stage. Thank you, Internet. Yes, I should probably change the pad. No, I don't have a second pad. At least not here. I'm sorry, Rod. So this is referred to as a tripoli, brown tripoli. That's evener. All right, we're going to call that second stage. I am going to change pads for the third stage. And I'm going to change tools completely because I like the way this looks. There's not enough speed. So this is a cotton buff. We're going to use the rouge with the cotton buff. And maybe my drill will go fast enough. Probably not. Look there, you can tell that it's picking up oxidation or there's doing some work because it changes color. Don't hit the chuck against the other aluminum, Kevin. That's a nice sound. All right, so although that is actually working, it's not going nearly fast enough for my OCD brain. So we're going to switch back to the Griot's polisher and use a looped microfiber, or as some people call it, microfiber. All right, we're going to see how long this thing holds out. Look at that. That looks like a Sesame Street character. Today, we're going to polish aluminum. So, all right, so. All right. This has just got more RPM, and it's just hopefully the thing doesn't fly off and decapitate a mouse over in the corner. It'll be surprising, but. I don't even know. It's kind of working. It's not as super glossy and brilliant as it. Bets out there. How many say that's going to fly off during this session? I don't know. That's looking pretty swanky. I see some subtle swirl marks in there, but we're going to change to this compound because what I'm really craving is some sort of a liquid splattering all over my body and the rest of the work surfaces, because that gives me another tool cleanup project to do later on when you guys are gone home drinking adult beverages. But I'm not complaining. Sounded like complaining to me. I know you can't see this, but I've got to hold the tool this way just for the directionality of the rotary polisher. Ah, come on, this prostate is stuck. There, okay. this come out of there? I don't even know. There's... I know you can see what I'm seeing, but right in through there, the peak is shinier than these guys here, so I need to work that area a little bit more. But what I'm seeing right here is a pretty marked difference between the enormous dent that was in there before, all my little picky hammery marks, and the way she looks right now. Because it looks good. Is that worth doing? Yeah, it's worth doing. And I don't see crazy ripples or... Yeah. Yeah. No lie, I'm pretty happy with that, and I think it looks nice. So there's about 5 other places to fix that were not nearly actually as bad as this big ginormous dent. I picked the worst place thinking if I fell on my butt, then I would just scrap the whole thing and just order one from AMD. But there's, like I said, about 5 other places. We got the pick and file process that we know we can get to. The aluminum substrate is thick enough to tolerate a lot of metal finishing, which is nice. And then we got the sanding process, which is less time consuming, but it's a lot of area here. So I may incorporate some dual action sanders, something like that, and go through the sanding process. And honestly, we stopped at 1,000 grit, and that probably cost me time polishing it up again. So I might go from 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000, and then polish the rest of the grill up. And then, of course, we've got the painting, because from the factory, these lines in here were black, the letters were black, around the headlight doors was black. So it's a process. Like I said, is it worth it? I think that looks really good. And let's talk about time. So far, I think I've probably got about 4 hours real time into fixing this dent right here. So let's just say 4 hours times another 5, another 20 hours in getting the dents ready, maybe another probably 2 or 3 hours to sand it, and then whatever it takes to polish it. So that's what's ahead. So all told, my little estimator brain told me that I have about 25 more hours to finish this grill. I mean, finished, which translates to about 3 pretty good weekends worth of work. Not bad, okay. It's just one of those things to whether it becomes a decision of time versus money. But here's the thing, even if you've budgeted out the cash that it's going to take to buy a new grill, maybe this showed you that you could do something yourself. Maybe it empowers you and inspires you to try something. And for that $500 or whatever it's going to take to buy this grill, maybe you reinvest that into time. Sometimes we have more money than time, and I've been there too. And sometimes I don't have enough money, so all I have is time, some tools, and some skills that I've acquired. So that's up to you, and hopefully this shows you that you can get there from here. Here's the other thing. C10 trucks, 70 bazillion of them made. There's lots of manufacturers that offer different parts options for old C10 trucks. Mustangs, 70 bazillion of them made. Lots of Mustang part, complete bodies for Mustangs. Camaros, first gen, second gen, third gens are now hot. There's lots of manufacturers offering options for Camaros. We have the choice of whether to buy new parts or restore our old parts. But what if you got an early 60s Mopar? What if you've got an oddball old Packard or something like, I don't know, maybe a Rambler or something that parts aren't reproduced for. And all you've got is your original parts. Even used ones are unobtainium, they're hen's teeth. So I know a guy that was redoing a Gremlin and he could not find parts. And this gives you options to take what you have and revive it and bring it back to where you do have options, and you're going to have an outstanding looking part. So I am not going to stop this here and throw it off in the corner. I am going to pick and file my way through finishing this grill. We are going to show you a finished project. It's just not going to be here because we don't want to make a 25-hour-long YouTube episode. And frankly, I got other stuff to do. So I just want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for following this process along. Hope you picked up some things. And down in the description, I've got a couple of resources to where I found some supplies that helped me get this done. So thanks for watching. I hope you're subscribed. If not, hit the button and you'll get notifications on what else we've got coming up, which is a lot of stuff and some really interesting stuff coming up over the next few weeks. So thank you so much. Thanks for helping grow this channel. Thanks for giving me the affirmation that we're on the right pathway here and that you guys are liking the stuff that we're showing you. Keep on commenting, keep on telling me that you like or don't like what we're doing, and let's work it out. The difference between this and TV is you can tell me what you want, and I can either tell you to go take a long drive on a short road, or I can do something to where we can both work together. It's just fun, man. It's just fun. So thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you on the next episode.